Hello, and we continue with number 27. Research your symptoms. Marita suggests that we seriously and unflinchingly consider the conditions under which our anxieties and fears and self-doubts arise, rather than the common rhetorical questions. Why is this unhappiness happening to me? And where have I gone wrong? And when will this misery ever stop? We are advised to observe our neurotic moments with the combination of a child's wonder and a researcher's objective eye. To do so externalizes the symptoms. Although they lie within us in a sense, the observation sets them apart. We become observers more than victims. Such purposeful observation leads us to consider actions to alleviate the circumstances that trigger our tensions and upset. Marita called this objective self-observation the starting point of cure. It is the starting point of cure in two senses. It both leads to change and is already change in itself. 28. Feelings are the natural response to events. When people win lottery prizes, they are likely to feel joy. When we watch a fledgling teetering on a branch, we are likely to feel trepidation. When we scrape our elbows, we are likely to feel pain. Why Why need we single out some feelings, like sorrow, anger, apprehension, shyness, and anguish, as unnatural and worthy of elimination? They, too, are natural responses to certain conditions. They, too, are reflections of the world as seen through our eyes. When we learn to stop struggling with these feelings directly and use our energies and time to make practical improvements in our circumstances, then the natural course of events is likely to lead to fewer unpleasant feelings. Moreover, when these undesired feelings appear, we are better able to take them in stride without being overwhelmed by them. Marita used words that may be translated to stop discriminating among feelings. He did not mean that we should try to achieve a state in which we cannot tell the difference between joy and pain. He did not mean that we should try to achieve a state in which we stop preferring joy to pain. He did mean that we must stop the useless discrimination that sets aside some feelings as unnatural and deserving of permanent banishment from our lives. There are no feelings like that. Our wishes and direct efforts by will to make any feeling go away only serves to intensify it. The process of this undesired intensification, too, is a natural process. In constructive living study, we ask nothing more than a clear look at reality and sensible action on the basis of what reality shows us. 29. The strategy is simple, requiring no superhuman effort. Marita wrote, "My way of doing things is simple. It's not necessary to make impossible efforts when troubled. Put simply, when you are vexed, just by vexed, and say, yes, and what shall I do? Just be in suspense about the outcome and move forward a little at a time. Rarely is there any rush. Never is there any need to try to control feelings. When strong feelings such as anger are pouring forth, it is often wise to wait before acting. Strong emotions may interfere with clear thinking and careful consideration of the outcome of our actions. Given A few hours, most emotions fade considerably, and those unusual ones that are still strong after half a day are signaling some very important event requiring our attention, and probably some direct action. Number 30. Those who take time in their self-development have the deepest roots. Some people seem to have caught on to the principles of constructive living quickly. They show flashy changes in behavior quite rapidly, but the experience of struggle over time to change a student's view of the world is important in producing depth of character. Rapid progress sometimes produces a student who builds on success and not on the success-failure combination that reality is likely to present over the long run. The stronger the desire, number 31. The stronger the desire, the stronger the fear. Those who want success most have the greatest fear of failure. Those who want good health most have the strongest fear of illness. A strong desire or need inevitably generates a corresponding anxiety about failure or loss in that area. We worry most about those we love, not about strangers. There are a great number of strategies for dealing with this psychological reality. For example, the Buddhist strategy has been to try to do away with desire so that the accompanying anxiety is eradicated. The neurotic strategy is to try to keep the desire and eliminate the anxiety. The Christian strategy has been to try to turn over desires and corresponding anxieties to God. The psychoanalytic strategy has been to try to understand the sources of both desires and anxieties in the hopes of controlling them through understanding, through the rational ego. Morita suggests yet another alternative. That alternative is to accept the reality of this inevitable connection between desires and fears, to stop struggling with it, and to get on with living with the recognition that there is no escape from either desire or anxiety. Such an existential position carries in itself neither optimism nor pessimism, no great meaning or great meaninglessness. It simply is the way things are. Now, what are we going to do next? The way one chooses from among these and other strategies is based on personal preference and one's circumstances, I suppose. But I strongly recommend getting a taste of more than one strategy before making a commitment to any of them. Many of my students seem to have tried at one time or another in their lives the neurotic strategy of aiming for the desires without the anxieties. That seems to be a sort of default strategy for some people. It doesn't work. Number 32. There's no need to compare ourselves with what we think others are like. Everybody else seems to be so together. I'm the only one who's uptight. Morita heard similar words in his day. We hear them far too often today. Many of my clients increase their suffering measurably by comparing themselves with the appearances of others. It hurts even more to be anxious about a final examination when all one's classmates seem so relaxed and confident as they enter the examination room. But the notion that I alone suffer is a patent falsehood based largely on a lack of understanding of the natural human condition. Morita pointed out that others had been hit on the head by falling apples. Newton turned the painful experience into a contribution to science. Those without great doubts and great suffering are unlikely to produce great contributions to mankind. Rather than reflecting on the miserable quality of our lot as compared with others, there is more payoff in using our circumstances to produce something of value. In Morita's opinion, success in business or in the academic world or in any practical pursuit is unlikely to be based on freedom from suffering. Instead, it is most likely to be built on 3 factors: an open mind, clear observation, and hard work. Number 33. Dilemma and pain are resources of psychological growth. The gap between what we want and what is attainable creates tension and dissatisfaction. The effort and the mistakes we make in trying to close that gap teach us about ourselves in our world. In the confusion and error lie our chance for enlightened understanding. While failing, we progress. Thank you for listening.